Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityor ma amritam gamaya. Lead me from untruth to truth. Lead me from darkness to light. Lead me from death to immortality. May there be peace in our heart, peace in the world, peace in the universe. Peace, peace, peace.
Coming to learn that Gaia is a living organism and not a dead rock. Coming to learn deep ecology, that nature has intrinsic value, and we must not value nature only in terms of her usefulness to humans. These kind of things are evolving. That gives me hope. So I'm an optimist, I'm hopeful, I will keep acting, and I urge you to keep acting, do your best, and the results are in the hands of the divine or in the hands of the universe.
Thank you, Satish.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay.
There are two ways to be. Either we can be a pilgrim or we can be a tourist. To be a pilgrim is to accept the world as it is, without judgment, without expectations. No extravagance. Elegant simplicity. The touristic mind is a mind full of greed and expectations. And when expectations are not fulfilled, a tourist is always disappointed. But pilgrims have no expectation and therefore no disappointment. And so, pilgrim is always moving. And moving means participation. And through participation, transformation. Transformation of the pilgrim herself or himself, and the transformation of the people who the pilgrim encounters. So transformation happens not by preaching not by condemning, not by criticizing, but by participating. That's the way of the pilgrim.
Satish, est-ce que vous pouvez vous présenter en 2-3 minutes votre parcours?
Satish.
In his 20s, he walked 8,000 miles. A global Satish was born in 1936 in India. In his lifetime, he's been a monk, an activist, a pilgrim, a leader, a teacher.
I'm here with Satish Kumar. Satish is, I guess, a legend in some senses.
Así que, por favor, un gran aplauso para Satish Kumar.
Bonjour. Est-ce que vous connaissez Satish Kumar? C'est l'un des plus grands sages vivants aujourd'hui.
I'm very excited, honoured, in fact, to introduce Satish Kumar.
And now let us listen to Dr. Satish Kumar, editor emeritus of the Resurgence and Ecologist magazine from the Chinese tradition.
I have lived in the UK for more than 50 years. As I learned more about Western culture, I realized how Cartesian dualism was an essential feature of a thought process which separated soul and body, nature and humanity, me and you.
It was a nice shawl, warm.
You like it?
Nice and good color.
Bright enough,
Good color. Thank you, thank you.
Lovely
Thank you
to
for all
see
your
you.
good work. You are a great volunteer, great helper. Wonderful.
It's nice to give us service.
Thank you. Amazing color.
Satish, we were a bit speedy. We were a bit too quick.
Really?
The kind of education we have today is an education for self-promotion and self-interest. I call it egocentric education. Education for my success, my money, my name, my fame, my prestige, my power. Everything is me, me, me. Responding to this, in 1991, I founded Schumacher College. It is the culmination of my life's work. It is a convergence of the values and the aspirations by which I have been guided throughout my life. I was born in Rajasthan, India. My mother was a gardener. She loved nature. And she always tell me, the Mother Earth is our teacher. Look at the honeybees, Mother would say. These honeybees go from flower to flower to flower, never harming any flower. Never ever a flower has complained that honeybee took too much nectar away. We can learn from these honeybees not to take too much from nature. Take only what we really need. I asked Mother, what can we learn from the trees? And she would say, we can learn from the trees the generosity, unconditional giving. Everybody can have mangoes from the mango tree. For mother, the trees were teachers, honeybees were teachers, and for me, my mother was my teacher. So, when I was 4 years old, my father died. I could not understand what was going on. So I went to my mother and I asked her, Mother, why are you crying? Why everybody's crying? And why father is not moving and talking? So my mother said, your father is dead. And when someone is dead, they don't speak, they don't move, and we are very sad. I said to my mother, Mother, will you also die? She said, yes, I will also die. Then I asked, Mother, will I also die? Yes, you will also die. Everybody will die. I was very confused. And so from that day onwards, I was worrying about death. And I was looking for a way that we can stop people dying. And my mother had a wonderful guru, a great spiritual teacher. And she took me to meet him. And there was a moment when my mother was away and all the other monks and disciples were away, and my guru was sitting alone. So I went in and I said, Gurudev, I don't like death. Please, Gurudev, tell me, is there a way to stop death? And my guru said, yes, there is. Only way to stop death is to stop the cycle of birth and death. This is why we have become monks. We are following a spiritual path so that we don't come back and we don't die. That message was very powerful. So I went to my mother. I said, Mother, I want to become a monk. My mother was silent. She said to me a little later that I can see that you have some very spiritual soul. And if you become a monk, I'll be very sad. I'll lose your company. But I don't want to be an obstacle on your spiritual journey. So after a long discussion, my mother agreed to let me go. And this is how I became a Jain monk at age 9. Those who are nearly ready to go, I would like to say it was wonderful to have you here. And what you have done and achieved and learned in Henry's Field and all other our gardens, may that stay with you forever in your whole life. And that love of nature may stay with you forever. And I would like to say that if you can find 2 ways to earn living, one is to be self-employed. Create your own garden for yourself, for your neighbors, but be your own boss.
That's the best way. Then you can use your imagination. Then you can use your creativity. The other way is to form cooperatives and communities together. Because even if you are self-employed, you work with other people. All our thriving is mutual, and all our work is co-creation. So form a small group of community. Come together and work together. Nobody boss, nobody bossing, nobody ordering, but everybody consulting, advising. That is wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I like to hear lots of questions so that we have interactive dialogue. Who would like to start?
When you were speaking about embodying what we are learning, so it's easy for us to practice what we are learning where we are in this place and everyone over here responds to what we are learning in the same way. This is like a bubble. But when we complete this course and when we go out of this bubble, when we go back to the real world, it is difficult to actually embody what we are learning and whatever we have learned from this special place to get out in that world. So what is your take on that how should we behave or how should we cope up with the world that is so different from this little bubble?
Of course, we also want to interact with the world, and we're trying to influence the world in some way and hopefully reduce the materialistic and a kind of reductionist and a greedy, destructive, polluting, wasteful economic and political structure that we have today. We have to do that as well. But we can't do that until we practice it ourselves. We have to be the change that we want to see in the world and say, I am going to start my life in such a way that is as close to my values and ideals as possible. I'm not going to compromise, even if I have to go hardship, even I have to face difficulties, even I have to face problems, they are welcome. Problems, welcome. Difficulties, welcome. They will make me strong and resilient. I'm not going to give up, but I'm not going to compromise and get an ordinary job and just get a salary and live a kind of life which is unecological, unsustainable, not very joyful, and not very inspiring, and not very imaginative. I'm not going to live that life. You have that courage and determination. You can do it. Okay? Ready?
Easy, right?
Isn't that marvelous? Sometimes people call me a utopian or a dreamer. But please tell me, what have the realists achieved? Our world is ruled by the realists, our governments, our business. And what have they achieved? We have global warming, pollution of oceans and rivers and soil. We have wars, all managed by realists. I think the future belongs to the idealists. Things appear separate if we see them as separate. They appear related when we see them as related. It is all in the seeing. Our modern civilization has put humans above nature. That is what I call anthropocentrism. We have to shift that. Nature has intrinsic value. That's a deep ecology. Nature has intrinsic value. The trees are good as they are. Trees are not good because they are valuable to humans, but trees are good. So as we proclaim human rights, we also have to proclaim rights of nature.
And Satish is preparing garlic. We're going to have a coriander chutney and then maybe a really hot chutney made with chili, because we've got the most amazing hot chilies coming in from the garden. And these little ones, which look like tiny aubergines, are incredibly hot.
Hot. So I'm not going to use too many.
You're not going to use
I'll
too many.
use a few, but not too many.
Yeah.
And we have to warn everybody, too hot.
Yeah.
Carefully, take carefully, cautiously. This recipe we are cooking comes from my mother. And my mother was a great cook. She was a great gardener. And my mother and I came from Rajasthan. So you can say it's a kind of Rajasthani way of cooking. If you go to South India, it's very different cooking. But North India, this is the way. Rajasthan especially.
When did you learn from mother? When did you learn from your mother?
When did I? Oh, I learned it from my childhood. I was 7 years, 8 years old. And I learned from my mother. She always said that all children should learn to cook. So she will set me and my sister and so on will just sit like we are doing here. We'll sit around my mother and we'll all prepare together. So she said, everybody should learn to cook. If you want to eat, you must learn to cook. If you don't learn to cook, you should not eat. That's my mother's principle. At this moment, we have created a society of consumers. We need to transform this society into a society of artists. And everything we do, we make, should be based in our imagination, our creativity, and spontaneity. And we do it with love. And when you do something with love and imagination, it becomes art. So we want to create a society of artists. Okay. Everybody in? So today we are celebrating the international cuisine from India, cooked by people from many countries and continents. I will say a mantra, which is an Indian mantra, which we always say. You may not, I'll explain a little bit in a minute. It's a meaning. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. The meaning of this mantra is, let's all walk together, eat together, act together. When we do things together, we thrive. All thriving is mutual, and all work is co-creation. In this process, our energy will multiply by working together. But we must not be critical or angry or quarreling with each other. Ma vidvisha vahe is very important. Never argue, quarrel each other when you are in a community. That's our ancient Indian teaching. So we bless the sun, we bless the rain, we bless the soil, we bless the earthworms. Long live the earthworms. And I thank you all for coming to share the meals which we have prepared for you. We are so blessed that you have come to share the meal. So please enjoy blessings on the meal. Bon appetit.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. There is somewhere an outdoor classroom. Let us see if we can. This is our outdoor classroom, and we say that we have to learn not only about nature, but from nature. Nature is our teacher. So when you sit under the trees and in the wilderness, you feel nature and you feel the unity between trees and yourself. Right hand represents the world. Left hand represents the self. By bringing two hands together, symbolically, we unite the world with the self. And we see the self in the world, and we see world in the self. And we see the whole cosmos as our country. Whole planet Earth is our home. Nature as our nationality, and love as our religion. And we breathe out, smile, and I relax. Bhuvasva Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi
धियो यो न प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. As a monk, I was learning how to be kind. I was learning how to be loving. I learned the principle of non-violence. I learned to trust myself. One night, I had a dream. And in my dream, Mahatma Gandhi came. He was standing on top of a sand dune with a big, beautiful halo behind him. And he was talking to me to say that you are a monk. But how many people can become a monk? Only very few. So spirituality becomes exclusive only for the monks. But spirituality should not be exclusive. It should be inclusive and available to everybody in the world. Come in the world and live spirituality in the world in everyday life. And that was my dream. And I woke up and I was so amazed, but also unsettled. I'm a monk. I think the world is a sinful place. World is a trap. I need to liberate myself from the world. Whereas Gandhi is saying that the world is beautiful and you must live spirituality in the world. That triggered my thinking. And I decided that I will leave the monastic order and live in the world. So one night, after midnight, when everybody was asleep, I escaped from the monastery. I had to escape because as a Jain monk, when you become a monk for life. But when I left the monastic order, that was very upsetting to my mother. Because she was a very spiritual, religious woman. And discarding the monkhood means that the vows I had taken, I was breaking. And therefore, she was very upset. But I went to see my mother after leaving the monastery. And she rejected me. She said, you cannot come home. If we parents start to take form of monks back home, how many people will stay in monastery? I cannot accept you. Go away and go back to monastery. Go back to the Guru and ask for his forgiveness. I said, my mother, can I have a glass of water? She said, no, you cannot have a glass of water in my home. Just go away. You are no longer my son. Go away. So she did not even give me a glass of water. Before I was born, while my mother was still pregnant with me, she often had a dream, always the same one. A wise old man with a long beard was riding with her on the back of an elephant. He promised to take her to a land of gold and jewels. Why are we on the back of an elephant? Mother asked. Let's go on a horseback. We can arrive more quickly. The wise man said, I don't know the way. Only the elephant knows the way. This is stupid. A horse is much more intelligent than an elephant. The wise man replied, it's not a question of intelligence, but a question of going the right way. Mother's dream always ended with her and the wise man riding on the elephant, never reaching their destination. When mother consulted the Brahmin, who was the village astrologer, about her dream, he said that I was the child of her unfulfilled wishes, and that I would never have gold or jewels, and that I would never reach my destination. Life for me would be an unending, continuous journey.
Hello? Julie's not here. Maybe she's in the garden. June? June? Okay. Sorry, we didn't know what time we will be getting here. We were making some film on the dark wall and so on. It was 1971, and I had come for a short visit with a return ticket in my bag. But then I met June. I fell in love at the very first sight. Cancelled the ticket and gave up my life in India. Lots has happened since then. Lovely soil. Bigger onion there.
Yeah, some of them sticked. You can have a salad tonight. Yeah. And there's some lettuce. Wow, this plant looks very nice.
Yeah, very healthy.
It's all right. Yeah.
It's good.
I just put it in the compost. It's great.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, very nice. But a few more days. A few more days, yeah.
Look at these.
These asparagus are coming along very well.
There you are. How about that?
I think it's a quite nice. We make a good soup.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love it.
One.
We have lots of pretty good.
Lovely. Very nice.
is pilgrim's home. I was born in India. I left India. I left home. I left my mother. I left my monastic order. I left the Gandhian community. I am a pilgrim. I have no home, and I'm at home everywhere. Having lived in England for more than 50 years, my mind is shaped by the synthesis of East and West. Yet, I pursue the path of a free spirit, which goes beyond geographical, religious, and cultural boundaries.
सीताराम मुख में हो राम नाम राम से वो हाथ में तू अकेला नहीं प्यारे राम तेरे साथ में का विधान जान हम लाभ से ही ये जय बीच रखे राम साही बीच रही
ओम सेनावतु सेनो भुनक्तु सवीर्यं करवावहे तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहे ओम शांति शांति
Wow, wow, wow. Nice. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow. So many. Wow. Wow. Look at that. Amazing, amazing. We had a wonderful celebration of all these malas. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Vandana. Yeah. Wonderful.
And what about Satish?
Yeah, I had plenty. Yeah. So now people are coming to see the seed bank, aren't they?
They'll do it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Hello. Yeah, okay. You lead the way, so I know where we are going. At the G20, they serve something more local grain.
This year is the year of millet.
Millet.
Because when we started 35 years ago,
Yes, yes.
we said we're going to make these forgotten foods the future foods.
Yes.
That was
Yes,
my commitment.
yes, yes.
Because they were really being driven out.
Yeah, yeah.
But they are now future foods.
Wow, that's a good coming. That's very good.
And they just harvested.
Yeah. So the seed bank movement spreading a lot. Very good. Very good. Yeah.
Yeah, so this bank we give to farmers, and we have some seeds we multiply in larger quantity according to what they need. But in every community we work with, we've asked them to create their community seed banks. I said, this system has turned seed into anti-seed.
Anti-seed.
Because seed renews itself.
Yeah, yeah.
And when seed doesn't renew itself, it's anti-seed.
Anti-seed, exactly.
That's what all patterns, hybrids, non-renewability is all about.
Yes.
And food is supposed to be nourishing us.
Yes, exactly.
And the minute food starts to destroy our health, it's anti-food.
It's anti-food.
So it's really anti-life, anti-seed, anti-food.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
It's really a dead civilization.
Right. Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah, this is Connie.
Okay.
These are all millets. These are the millets we saved and made popular.
Okay.
And that's how this year is the year of millets.
Wonderful. It's the year of the millet.
Yeah. And traditionally, the seeds were kept in gourd, and like here.
Yeah.
And this was called...
How did they empty it?
Here.
From there?
Yeah.
They take it out?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And there were wars. Between the Gorkhas and the Gadwalis, you know.
Yeah.
And during one of the wars, the people died for lack of food.
Yes, yes.
But when they went to the huts, the tomris were full of the seed.
Yes.
Because you're not supposed to destroy seed.
Oh, because they were...
Because seed is for the future.
For the future, yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
You can die of starvation.
But
you leave the seeds for the future.
Yeah. Don't
That's
leave
the
seeds.
ethics that has kept
society going.
alive.
Yeah, very good. Wonderful. Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. It's a great pleasure for me to come to Bija Vidyapeeth Earth University, Navdanya Farm, which is established by the farm is established by Vandana, and this Bija Vidyapeeth is established by both of us together.
I will give them the story.
Okay.
The farm actually began as a farm for seed saving, and then it grew to be organic. And then, of course, dear Satish was visiting in 2000. And he was walking around the farm, and before I knew it, he was saying, and there should be a Schumacher-like institution here, and the dorm should be here, and the dining hall here, and he'd already designed it, and gone back to England, and that year I gave the Reith lecture, which is the BBC Founders Lecture. And then Satish did a reception, and during the reception he announced that we were starting the school, and he asked for the name, and standing there in the reception, because the seed is what inspires me. So I said the Bij Vidyapeeth, which means the school of the seed, where the seed is the teacher. And of course, before I knew it, then I get a message from Satish, what's the first course? And that's how life grows, organically, layer by layer, responding to the next challenge. But now it would be nice to hear from you and tell us about who you are and what brought you here.
I was here for the A2Z course in September, and I'm back because here's the source.
I met Vandana and Satish through the Education for Sustainable Living program in California, maybe in 2005. And I reflect on my life and seeing how much you have influenced the direction of my life. I haven't had a serious job since I met you guys. Activist all my life. Yeah, and I'm mainly here because Satish, when I met you at Schumacher College last year, he said, Kai, bring a group of Japanese to Navdanya, to India. So that's why I'm here.
前に種の命の種はお母さんなんだ、命の源泉なんだってことを知って、すごく感動して、その時から種のシェアとか種をつなぐことっていうのにとても興味を持つようになりました。
I love how what my interest is basically how people from different spaces, both urban and rural, have something to share and teach the world.
I just finished my master's in ecological design thinking, and as Satish says all the time that all of us who study Schumacher, we carry Schumacher in ourselves, so we are the seed of Schumacher, and what better a place to land for a seed than this place.
Last month, my grandmother had died, which is really very first time for me. And my grandmother, she really loves flowers and gardening. And yeah, and I really know that my life is really short. So that's why I want to become my CEO of my life, and that's why I come here. So I'm so happy to meet you and you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So, if you want to change the world, where do you start? You start with yourself. So Mahatma Gandhi had a two-pronged approach. One is inner transformation, and other is outer transformation, how we act in the world. Quite often, even if we change outside, we don't quite sufficiently put attention inside. So inside and outside are not two separate things. The inner transformation and outer transformation go hand in hand together. One of the most famous quotes from Mahatma Gandhi is, "Be the change that you want to see in the world." We cannot control the world, but we can influence and control ourselves. And he said, we have to cultivate compassion in our heart. We have to cultivate love in our heart. We have to cultivate a sense of service in our heart. We have to cultivate humility in our heart. All these qualities are inner transformation. When you are compassionate, kind, loving, generous, and do everything with a sense of service, then whatever action you do outside will shine. Mahatma Gandhi did very best until the last moment when he was assassinated. He was going to the public audience and was going to give his prayer meeting and his message. So until the last breath of life, he was an activist. I want to be like that. I want to be an activist until the last breath of my life, like Mahatma Gandhi. That would be a great example to follow Mahatma Gandhi. But believing is not practicing. We all believe in love, compassion, kindness, generosity, sense of service. All these things are easy to believe. Who is not going to believe? Even Biden and Modi and Xi Jinping and Putin and all the other leaders and the industrialists and business leaders, they all will say, yes, yes, I believe in love. I believe in compassion. I believe in kindness. I believe in generosity. These things are just words for them. You have to put them in practice.
Hope is something you grow through your actions and your relations. And that's why the seed is so powerful for growing hope. The seed grows into the plant and grows into the seed from that plant. What an amazing miracle. One little seed of mustard gives you a mustard plant with 100,000 seeds. And that's in one season. And in the next season, again, that multiplication. And the minute you look at the seed, instead of looking at the world through scarcity, you start to see the world through abundance. Historically, men and women were all involved in the economy of care. No indigenous culture has men destroying and women protecting. That's not the way it works. Colonized culture have that. Because the men were pulled out to go into the mines, to fight the wars. So who stayed home to take care of things? Grow the food, take care of the children, take care of the old. By default, women continued the true economy, which is based on care and compassion. The very values that have been used to define women as inferior and weak, the values of care, compassion, sharing, feeling, are the values humanity needs today.
We have reduced the earth, our home, to a battlefield where we are competing and fighting for materials, markets, and power. We are now at the crossroad. We can continue to follow the same path of violence, or we can turn towards the path of compassion and reverence for life. I have chosen and will forever choose the path of love. After I escaped the monastery, I went to live in a Gandhian ashram. And that spiritual community was established by Vinoba Bhave, a great follower and friend of Mahatma Gandhi. And Vinoba Bhave was bringing spirituality into social, political, and economic sphere. He was asking landlords to give land for the poor out of compassion. For 10 years, Vinoba Bhave walked more than 100,000 miles from village to village, town to town, house to house, persuading landlords to give land for the poor. Altogether, Vinoba Bhave received 4 million acres of land, which he distributed to the poorest of the poor. And I walked with Vinoba many times. And particularly at that time, the world was being threatened by nuclear weapons. And I came across the news that a 90-year-old British philosopher, Bertrand Russell, was protesting against the nuclear weapons.
The bomb which destroyed Hiroshima.
And because of his protest, he was arrested and put in jail. I felt great sympathy, but also inspiration from this act. And I said to myself that here is a man of 90 going to jail for peace in the world. What am I doing, young man? I must do something. And so I decided to walk to the 4 nuclear capitals of the world: Moscow, Paris, London, and Washington, D.C. When I decided to walk, I went to seek blessings from my teacher, Vinoba Bhave. And he was very pleased. He said, I bless you, but you are going on a long journey. I want to give you 2 weapons to protect you in your long journey. Weapons? I'm going for peace in the world. He said, I'm going to give you non-violent weapons. He said, first, you are a vegetarian. Remain a vegetarian. I said, yes, I will remain a vegetarian. What is your second weapon? I asked. And he said, go without any money in your pocket. Because if you have money, you go and eat in a restaurant, sleep in a guest house, you don't need anybody. But when you have no money, you have to trust people and trust yourself. I accepted those 2 weapons. And so I walked from India to Pakistan and over the mountains of Afghanistan, through the deserts of Iran, and in the beautiful landscape of Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Georgia, along the Black Sea to Moscow. And then I walked through the snow-covered villages of Russia and Belarusia to Poland and came to this very industrialized nation of Germany and Belgium and France. And then I walked to London, and then also British people helped me to get tickets to sail across the Atlantic. And so I came to New York, and I walked to Washington, D.C. Through 15 countries, 8,000 miles, over 2.5 years, 4 nuclear capitals of the world. And I realized in my heart that I was not only walking for peace, I was being peace. Wars come from fear. Peace comes from trust. All wars are a failure of human negotiating skills and imagination. In my 87 years, I've never found evidence of innate hatred in the hearts of humans. Violence is only a story we have believed in. I honestly find the story of violence too old and boring. Humanity and the earth have suffered enough. Let a new age begin, the age of love.
Let's do a take. Yeah. Take one. Whenever you want, Satish.
After I had completed my pilgrimage for peace, walking around the world without any money and 8,000 miles, my guru was talking to my mother. Look what your son has done. He has walked for peace, for non-violence around the world, where monks cannot go and do not go. So your son has done well. When my mother heard those words coming from my guru and her guru, she was in tears. And she said that I have never forgiven my son for leaving monastic order and coming into the world, breaking his vow. I've never forgiven him. I've never spoken to him for last 10 years. And then one morning, suddenly, something like 8 o'clock in the morning, knocking at my door in the city of Varanasi, the city of light,
the city of Shiva, by the Ganges. And I opened the door. What? Mother, you are here without any announcement, without any letter? Mother said, I have come to forgive you. And our Guru has forgiven you. Our Guru has told me that you may have left the robe of the monk, but you have not left the spirit of monkhood. So please forgive me for being so hard and so harsh and so angry with you. I have come to ask you for your forgiveness. And I forgive you for leaving the monastic order. I forgive you for breaking your vows, which you took for life, because the spirit of the vow and the spirit of the monkhood you have still carried. I am sorry to have been angry with you. I was in tears. I could not believe my ears when Mother said that to me, that I am coming to forgive you. And so I said, Mother, come in. And we sat down together. And then we talked, and she wanted me to tell her all the stories of 10 years when she had not seen me, and I have not seen her, and what I have done. And when she learned that Vinoba was my new teacher, and I worked for land gift movement, persuading landlords to give land for the poor, that was also a very spiritual act. And so my mother was very, very moved and very, very happy. She gave me her blessing and she gave me her forgiveness. And that was a new life that I had. Because in Jain tradition, forgiveness is the most fundamental part of our religion. And we say, Khame mi sabba jive, sabbe jiva khamantu me, mitti be sabba bhuesu, veram majjannake nahi. I forgive all beings if I have offended or upset anyone. And I ask all living beings to forgive me. And I have no enemies. I have only friends. Everyone on this planet Earth, humans and other than humans, all living species are my friends. I give no offense to anyone, and I take no offense from anyone. That is the mantra every single night as a monk I have recited. And that is the mantra my mother knew by heart and recited. So after 10 years, Mother came and forgave me, and I was very happy. I was very, very uplifted. I was delighted. When my mother was 80 years old, she started to lose her hearing, her eyesight, her knees started to wobble and give her pain. And so she decided now it is time for her to embrace death and meet the death. So with her stick in her hand, she went to her daughters, her friends, her neighbors, saying, from tomorrow morning, I will start to fast unto death. If I have said anything, done anything to upset you, to harm you, to anger you, please forgive me. Now I'm leaving the world. And from next morning, she started to fast.
And then people heard about it, that Satish's mother, Anchi Devi was her name, is fasting to death. And our neighbors started to come. Friends started to come to see her and say goodbye. My sisters and brothers, they came to say goodbye to her. They were somewhere far away. They all came. And it was a singing of songs, celebration of life, praising, thanksgiving, all that happened. And my mother fasted for 30 days. It was a celebration of her life. And after 30 days, she breathed her last breath. She had lived for 80 years, produced 8 children, farmed, worshipped her guru, sang her songs, told the stories. She has done everything she wanted to do. And peacefully, she went into the other world. And that was a brave act to do. And my mother was a brave woman. Life for my mother was a tapestry made of millions of small acts, but each one was an essential contribution to the realization of that tapestry. She did not believe in great acts of heroism. She believed in small actions performed with love and imagination. Mother said, as a seed is capable of becoming a tree, all human beings are also capable of realizing their own full potential. In order for the seed to become a tree, it must be planted in the soil, underground, in the dark, and almost forgotten. In relationship with the earth, the seed surrenders its separateness, its individuality, its ego. In fact, the seed allows itself to become one with the earth. Only then its hidden energy bursts open and we see the green shoots emerging like a miracle. This is how she understood the meaning of eternity and the meaning of reincarnation. She did not quote any great scriptures. Instead, she pointed out to our plum tree. In the same way, we human beings have to let go of our separateness and not bother about individual identity. If we immerse ourselves in the process of life and trust the process and identify ourselves with others, we can become a tree of 1,000 branches and 1,000,000 plums.